Stand by. Yeah.
They called me a freak. I'm kidding. Let me do the proper introduction. Welcome, everyone, to episode 333 of everyone's favorite wrestling podcast, the F and Marks.
Yeah. I'm Jay. He is.
I am the Brainless one. I am the Ocho, the Brainless one.
Yeah.
I was going to say, after the next time I pop, I'm going to be Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
9 times.
9. Rooney.
But, I mean, hey, what a hell of a week of professional wrestling we had last week. The big announcement from WWE, we got Triple H in the ring. And the big thing, one of the big things was we have officially, once again, authority figures, not just Adam Pearce running both shows. We have a exclusive Monday Night Raw, or until it's still Monday Night Raw until it's changed, if possibly changed. A general manager there, and now we have a SmackDown general manager. We found out on Friday that Adam Pearce, who honest to goodness, Jay, I have enjoyed Adam Pearce in the role, in the capacity of being the authority figure, since he kind of took on the role of being kind of the authority figure. And I'm really glad that he's going to be getting the Monday Night Raw job. I would have liked to have seen him on SmackDown just because I've been a huge fan of Adam Pearce. But, you know, watching him on Raw is still an enjoyable thing. And we finally found out what Nick Aldis. Thank you. What Nick Aldis is going to be doing is he will now be the authority figure on SmackDown going forward. Thoughts?
You know, I hope this is good. I think with Triple H in charge, because we talked about this a bit last week, but it sounds like Vince has been neutered and told, employees should do the job that their title says that they're doing. Vince, you go there in the corner and you get us secure us a media rights deal. Thank you. But with all that being said, we had a lot of authority figures in the past, and a lot of times it ended up being a whole lot of them doing a whole lot of long promos that really ended up, at least in my view, in many, many cases, taking a lot of opportunity, I believe, away from actual in-ring performers, and it almost felt like a waste of time a lot. There were certain aspects that worked at certain times. I thought when they had the McMahon or when Seth Rollins aligned with Stephanie and Triple H, I think that kind of worked. Although again, that sometimes was like overblown. But like when people were coming out like every segment to say something, it felt like it was too much. Now, when they did it with, Paige, I thought Paige did like almost a perfect job in it. Pierce has done a really good job, but the fact that they're calling them general managers now, like, I have a little bit of pause just because there are some times that the authority figures have just been an absolute detriment to the product, but I will hold back on any real yay, nay with this because I want to see what they do with it. Pierce has done good in his job, and Aldis wants to make a good impression because, quite honestly, I think he still wants to wrestle. You see him in that suit, and you're like going, he's going to rip that suit open with his muscles.
I didn't realize how big he was. Like, I've seen him wrestle. I've seen him compared to other people, but like for whatever reason, I didn't realize how big he was. Because like Adam Pearce, when you had Adam Pearce go up against Roman Reigns and they were kind of face to face, like they're pretty similar size wise. And I know that Triple H isn't the tallest wrestler in the history of professional wrestling, but man, Nick Aldis was towering over both of them on SmackDown.
Well, and Triple H, I think, is like 6'1" or 6'2". He's not a short dude because, I mean, Rock is 6'5", and Triple H wasn't a lot shorter than him.
Yeah. I'm assuming that Nick Aldis has got to be like 6'6", and he's a big dude. He looks like he can. I mean, obviously he looks like he can still go. He's on the right side of
30s.
Yeah, I was about to say he's on the right side of 40. So I think this is a good thing for them because you're going to give Nick Aldis a chance to be exposed to a audience that has really not a lot other than like the diehard wrestling fans like us and all the people who watch our podcast and all the neckbeards that live in their parents' basements. But for the casual WWE fans who tune in each and every week who might not know who Nick Aldis is, I think this is a great way to kind of expose him to those wrestling fans to get a better idea of what they're to expect from him. And one thing from SmackDown that I chuckled really hard last Friday was when he was doing the thing and they were introducing him, and then Dominic Mysterio came out.
Yeah.
And he goes, this is Dominic Mysterio. And I love the fact that Triple H mentioned like, I thought that they piped in all those boos. Wow. And I love that little thing.
Yeah,
but and when Nick Aldis goes and he's like, oh, pleasure to meet you. I'm a huge fan. And he's shaking Dom's hand and he goes, of your father. I was like, oh, that is so good. I love that. That was such a great thing. Oh, it was perfect.
His timing was perfect with that.
Yeah. I thought it was great. I think this is going to be good. I'm curious to see where they go with him going forward. And as long as we keep getting the Adam Pearce we've been getting up until this point, because honest to goodness, I love Mick Foley. I thought he did an admirable job as co-commissioner of Monday Night Raw about 7 years ago. I will never say a bad thing about Mick Foley, but that's just me. But Adam Pearce, to me, did as good of a job as a commissioner / authority figure all the way back to like when Teddy Long was running SmackDown.
Playa, I mean, nobody else. Teddy Long is the greatest SmackDown general manager of all time.
Oh, it's not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Don't at me, bro.
And honestly, I know that he was on TV a lot and he was very annoying, but if there was anybody who absolutely killed it as a heel authority figure, you got to think of John Laryngitis. People power.
Yeah.
As annoying and as obnoxious and as over the top as he was, he served the purpose. When he came out with that little scooter with the people power, when he messed up his ankle, if they do it right, this could actually end up very well for WWE. But like you said, as long as they don't go over the top with a lot of the ways of, having them come out all the time and just blabbing every chance they can.
There were times where it used to be like every half hour. Remember the Raw general manager, anonymous Raw general manager.
Yes.
Nobody wants to remember that because it just annoying.
Yes, but
so Chris Brown in the chat saying he doesn't think Aldis is a long-term solution and is kind of implying that he believes that this is just a roadmap for Aldis to get into the wrestling ring and to become a performer.
I agree. Like I said, I think this is just a good way for him to get the exposure to the WWE fans who might not know too much about him. And honestly, I didn't hate the anonymous Raw general manager because I've never seen a human being get more heat for themselves just by reading somebody else's emails like Michael Cole did. And on top of that, the anonymous Raw general manager, subsequently is responsible for us getting the coal mine.
Right. And the coal mine, which was a pre-COVID brilliance that got destroyed by The Undertaker and Triple H at WrestleMania.
Yes, I remember that. Or when Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler had their match at WrestleMania, and Cole was getting his ass kicked inside the coal mine. He's getting just
Yes.
the look on his face. I was, as much as I hated that match, I was cracking up for a good portion of it when I was doing the rewatch on it.
Nice.
Such a terrible but funny, entertaining, terrible match.
Mm-hmm. Good
It's the
and
best.
terrible.
Mm-hmm. Good and terrible. But I think, again, this is a slam dunk for WWE. I think they're doing the right thing in regards to both Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis, and I'm curious to see how they both go moving forward.
Yeah.
And
So,
I'm
and immediately, though, Nick
yeah.
Aldis ended up making an announcement.
Oh
We
God.
had the appearance of a cupcake. Appearance of a cupcake. And right now, you're a bigger buzzkill than Buzz Killington. Who here likes a good story
about a bridge? Ah.
So Kevin Owens, which it was rumored was going to SmackDown, is officially on the SmackDown roster. Apparently, Sami Zayn behind the scenes is not too pleased about this. They had just done the story, which was one of the hottest stories, you know, in the past year. It was a main event for night one of WrestleMania.
Yep.
With him and KO finally getting back together, finally being bros again, and you split them up.
I was shocked, absolutely shocked that it was Kevin Owens, and I heard the rumors, and I'm like, I don't get it. I'm like, this was your opportunity to move Cody Rhodes over. I mean, granted, I understand that as of last Friday, Cody was still tag team champions. Obviously,
Yeah.
Things change because it's WWE. But that was your chance to get Cody over if you were absolutely 100% sold on him and Roman Reigns continuing the story and having their match at WrestleMania 40. I don't get how you're going to do this when you're going to have the guy from Raw, once again, getting the title shot against the guy on SmackDown.
By the way, now that you mentioned that, one of the rumors out there is it looks like the favorite in the clubhouse at this moment, we're still almost 6 months away, that we are going to get the rematch of Cody and Roman at WrestleMania 40. It's not going to be The Rock. It sounds like that is like, it sounds like it may not work out.
And honest to goodness, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Cody did not win the Royal Rumble this year. It is very possible that somebody else could. It could be another Raw superstar that ends up winning it, but he ends up going for the World Heavyweight Championship. I'm a betting man, Cousin Jay. If I had to put money on somebody winning the Royal Rumble over Cody Rhodes, it's Gunther. Granted, a lot of things are going to have to happen to lead up to Gunther actually winning the Royal Rumble. And if, a lot of rumors are saying he's not going to defend the championship in Saudi Arabia because they're going to host a show here in the States the same night as the Saudi show, and he's going to be defending the Intercontinental title that night.
What's happening, Jessica?
What's up, Jessica?
All right. Chris Brown saying, I'm okay with them splitting up KO and Sammy. It's needed given how Sammy and Jey Uso are still on-screen friends. And Mike Rainey saying, what's good, fellas?
What's up, Mike Rainey?
We are talking about professional wrestling. Tim, hello. Lots of Hall of Famers here.
I'm surrounded by Hall of Famers. Yo.
Yeah.
My big thing is, and I thought about that too, because they're going to be able to continue this story on. And it's just amazing to me that even with the bloodline, the way that it is kind of unfolded, where it's just Solo and Jimmy sticking with Roman. And by the way, I found it interesting that Paul Heyman's hair went back to being a darker color and less gray once Roman returned.
Right.
Is it possible that we could give Paul Heyman our Wrestler of the Year award?
So another thing I just saw right before the podcast, it has been officially announced for Crown Jewel. We are getting Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, against L.A. Knight.
Yeah.
I'm still not watching it, but, as much as I want, L.A. Knight deserves the push, and it felt like they were taking their time with him, and then all of a sudden they put him into, they put the rocket on him, and it almost feels like, I don't know, he's not going to win.
No, he's definitely not going to win.
Now, they could make it in a way, maybe they end up having it similar to what happened with Rollins, where maybe he wins by countout. Just something to keep the momentum going and something to keep you guessing. Like, maybe this isn't the only match. Maybe they have a match here and there isn't something super clear cut, and maybe this is a continuance up until the Rumble.
My thing that I was thinking, one of the things I was thinking of, if they're going to do this, because I was very skeptical, because I've heard rumors, because it was either going to be John Cena, or it was going to be LA Knight, or it was going to be, somebody else. They were going to fight in a tag team match. It was going to be Roman Reigns and Solo, or Jimmy versus LA Knight and John Cena. I've heard so many different things. If they do this, if they have the match and Roman goes over clean, but LA Knight puts on one hell of a performance, not like if Roman goes in there and just absolutely squashes him or just overpowers him the entire match, you've done absolutely nothing for this guy. But
now, if you do it like they did with Logan Paul, Paul ended up a bigger star for having that match in his third match, by the way.
Yep. I think there's ways of doing it without, LA Knight losing his momentum, and if they do it right, it's going to be fun. I just think it's so bizarre to me that this guy at the beginning of the year at the Royal Rumble was losing a 3-minute squash match to Bray Wyatt, in a neon Mountain Dew high voltage or whatever the hell it was, pitch black match.
And I was hoping it was going to lead to the Cinnamon Toast Crunch match at WrestleMania between Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar in the stairs match.
You were hell bent on that.
So we have a couple of people in the chat specifically saying that they believe LA Knight may win by DQ. And we're not talking Dairy Queen.
He's going to win by a blizzard?
Reese's peanut butter cup.
The only thing worthwhile getting at a Dairy Queen, the blizzard. Cookie dough for me, though.
Hey, you know what? I'm not against the hot dog at Dairy Queen.
No, you're right.
I said it.
No, you're right. And they used to be so much better when they toasted the bun. But, circling back, I think if they do this properly and they make him look strong, after everything else, he was supposed to have something happen at WrestleMania. Nothing happened. Something's happening. And, we kept waiting and kept waiting. We thought he was going to win Money in the Bank, and then he got tossed off the ladder, and Priest won the briefcase, and people were starting to like, oh, man, what are we going to do now? So then they decided to have him win the SummerSlam Battle Royal that meant absolutely nothing to no one. And now here we are a couple months later, and he's going to be wrestling Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship at the Saudi show.
Right. All right, so Tim asks, where does LA Knight go after he doesn't win? Tim specifically says after he loses to Roman. Now, what happens to him? I don't think he's going to end up, down at the bottom again.
No.
He's got 1, too much momentum. 2, he sells too much merch for them to bury him right now. Let me talk to you about the numbers. Yeah.
Honestly, if he loses this match and sometime down the road, Royal Rumble or whatever the pay-per-view in February is going to be, No Mercy, over the limit, Great Balls of Fire, whatever they're going to do in February. If they at that point decide that they're going to put like a one of the secondary championships, like the United States title or the Intercontinental Championship on him, I would have no problem with it. If that was if he won the U.S. or the Intercontinental as his first title, I'd have zero problem with it. But I also wouldn't have an issue if he actually won the Universal Championship from Roman in Saudi Arabia.
You did mention February pay-per-view. I believe that is going to be Elimination Chamber, and it actually has come out this week. Rhea Ripley will be headlining that show in her homeland.
Oh, that's the Australia show.
Yeah. That's the Perth show. So that's happening in February.
Good for her.
Chris Brown saying in the chat that they have Logan Paul and Ricochet officially announced for Blood Money. It felt like we were going to get Ray versus Logan at Blood Money show, but maybe that's down the line.
And I know that you're on your I'm not going to be watching the Saudi show for, your personal reasons and everything. I'm not going to watch the show, but you could bet your ass I'm tuning in to watch Roman Reigns and LA Knight. I'm sorry. I'm going to unshun them just for that match. Okay. Just because I want to see that. I want to hear that pop. I understand, but I need to see all the people in the camels lose their shit when LA Knight comes out to the ring.
All right. So Tim has, do they do a triple threat at Mania with Cody, Roman, and LA Knight? And where does the story go after Saudi?
It's going to be interesting. It all depends on how they book the match and how it's going to end up going. Because LA Knight could eventually lead to, if he loses in Saudi Arabia and, Jimmy Uso can cost them the match or Solo can cost them. We've seen Solo cost people matches. He cost Cody the match at WrestleMania.
Right.
LA Knight could feud with either one of those and it would actually make a lot of sense. Coming from a guy who was a maximum male model manager. The senses are titillating.
That was an awful lot of M's together.
It was, and I probably am not going to come up with another M word the rest of the night.
Mansoor.
Marseille. Maxine and Max Dupree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of Mansoor, we're not going to see him look like, he's dead inside every time we see him posing in his tennis gear.
Right. But for LA Knight, I mean, it definitely feels like this Roman match is coming on more quickly than I would have liked. I think I want to go in a slightly different direction, and I think it's going to be completely on respect. Let me see LA Knight versus John Cena at the Royal Rumble. Let that be the next thing.
Now, hold on. Now, there's a thought. Because, again, John Cena was also rumored to fight Roman Reigns in Saudi Arabia. And we said it wrong. It's future 8-time Marquee Award winner for wettest hair, Roman Reigns, defending the Universal Championship against LA Knight. And there was talks it was going to be Cena. What if? This is a big what if. But, we come back to this episode if it does happen. What if it's John Cena who ultimately costs LA Knight his match against Roman Reigns in Saudi Arabia? And then it leads to John Cena wrestling at WrestleMania 40 against LA Knight. Yeah.
That can be a thing. And I would love to see that. I mean, right now the actors are still on strike. Writers are no longer on strike, and it's going to take a couple of months for them to come up with scripts for movies and TV shows. John Cena still has, it sounds more or less like he will continue to wrestle in WWE until Hollywood reopens. So I think we're going to get Cena at least for another few months. If they don't believe that, like if Cena isn't sure whether or not he's available for WrestleMania, let's have this match at the Royal Rumble. If
Fair
Cena
enough.
says, no matter what, I'm in for WrestleMania, then figure out a way to keep this going until WrestleMania.
I
But
have.
that would be my thing, Tim. This is my answer to you. LA Knight, John Cena.
I think that Cena is going to be at WrestleMania 40, and I for one have actually enjoyed this run from Cena since he came back in the summer, because it just absolutely erases that horrible memory from that atrocious match he had at WrestleMania this year against Austin Theory. To this day, I'm still telling you right now, Jay, 39 WrestleManias. I've seen every match at every single WrestleMania. That was the worst WrestleMania match I've ever seen. And I've seen Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler. I've seen Earthquake and Adam Bomb. I saw Tito Santana and the Executioner.
Right.
I was at WrestleMania 11 for crying out loud.
Right.
That was awful. It was hot garbage, and I am so glad that John Cena has actually had a chance to come out here and actually perform and make that just be complete. Like, I just got what was it, the neuralizer that they had on the Men in Black movie, right?
Yeah, the neuralizer. This is, after Goldberg had that match against The Undertaker in Saudi Arabia, and people are like, don't bring him back. They did their best to build Goldberg back up. And a lot of that had to do with Dolph Ziggler being awesome at what he does, and took one of the greatest looking spears of all time at SummerSlam. And I love that match. I really love that match at SummerSlam, but they were using that to rebuild the credibility of Bill Goldberg. John Cena coming back this time, instead of like it feeling like last minute put together. Oh, by the way, like, yes, I'd like to be at WrestleMania. Yes, I'd like to put over this young dude. But there were things actually with that match I liked. I liked you had what you call it, like biting John Cena.
Yeah.
Where like it's like what the hell is this?
Yeah.
What the hell did he just do? But
I thought the psychology.
Cena definitely has looked. He's looked much better.
I like the psychology of the match between John Cena and Austin Theory at WrestleMania. The psychology was fun. It's just they just didn't seem in sync. They weren't clicking well, and the fact that Cena wasn't taking any bumps just did not look good. For whatever reason, he has looked 100 times better right now than he did at WrestleMania this year, and I've enjoyed it. I for one, I know that I've been one of those people that have been anti-Cena because of the fact that WWE shoved him down everybody's throat for well over a
decade and a half, man.
And justifiably, he is one of the greatest of all time. I'm not going to take that away from him.
Right.
But just seeing him in that light, and I think it's because of the fact that they booked him the way that they did, is the reason why I was like,
2010, damn it. You buried an entire faction.
Why are you going to go there? Why are you going to go there?
That was the worst of the worst. That's why people like us reacted to Cena how we reacted to him for all that time.
Yeah. I mean, there's that. I mean, I might have to go back, and that might be my top 10 next week.
All right, Mike Rainey specifically saying as far as where LA Knight goes after Roman at Blood Money, have Knight win the U.S. Championship. Logan wins the U.S. Championship from Ray, and then Logan Paul faces LA Knight.
Eventually,
I wouldn't mind seeing Logan Paul against LA Knight because you got the megastar versus the YouTube star.
And honestly, I I wouldn't be opposed to that either, but eventually somebody's got to beat Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. I don't know who you're going to have. No, they don't. I still believe that if he wins the Royal Rumble, he should just vacate the Intercontinental title. Nobody can beat me, so I'm going on to bigger and better things. Here's your Intercontinental title.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Chad Gable be the one to finally dethrone him with the story that they were telling. I don't think it's going to go that way, though.
I don't even know. I honestly, Jay, at this point, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you who they're going to have take the title from Gunther because I don't think they know. And it's crazy to think this is what kind of a reign. This is what we're talking about. This is dominance. What Roman's doing, yeah, that's one thing. Yeah, he's breaking all these records. Yeah, when he shows up once every 4 or 5 months. Gunther's going out there and beating the shit out of everybody. He's beating everybody. They throw everybody in his way and he beats them. He's beating people in non-title matches.
Right.
He's fighting 6-man tag matches and getting the victory. He doesn't even have to get the pinfall, and he still does.
Unlike Rey Mysterio against Bobby Lashley, where he more or less got squashed. By the way, I as much as I should have put that as a brainless a week or two ago, I didn't. But that being said, Mike Rainey chiming in saying if they were going to pull off a Cena heel turn, they should have done it years ago. I don't see Cena costing LA Knight the title.
I'm just spitballing. I'm coming up with ideas to have it so that LA Knight can have this match with Roman Reigns and still look strong, you know, afterwards. Because at the end of the day, that's the important thing. And honestly, look at the star power WWE has now. Because Cody Rhodes is now the biggest face in WWE. You're going to have LA Knight, who's now the number 2 face. Argue me all you want, everybody, but nobody's a bigger face than him except maybe Cody Rhodes.
Right.
You got Roman Reigns. You got main event Jey Uso. Jey Uso's been booked so well. So well. He has come out smelling like roses in this whole situation with the bloodline. You have, obviously, Sami Zayn. You still have Kevin Owens. Solo is going to have a great career once he breaks off from the bloodline and does his own thing. He's going to be a tremendous heel for them for a long time. Gunther. And, oh, by the way, I'm not convinced that CM Punk is not going to WWE.
Yeah, as much as there's been that chatter this week saying, WWE not interested. CM Punk sent his feelers and is looking to make a deal. We heard some rumblings out there that for CM Punk to come back, he had to make amends with certain superstars. Seth Rollins, I believe, was one of them. I think Roman Reigns was another one. It's like quite literally, you're talking about the 2 champions. So if you already are in the doghouse with the former big dog and Seth Franklin Rollins, you know, you have some tall mountains to climb. And right now, WWE doesn't need CM Punk. They don't. They are selling out. They are breaking records without him. Would they break more records having him? Would they break them by a lot more than what they are now? Invite that headache into the locker room.
I just think that my old school mentality is I don't think they're going to break any more records. I mean, yes, they could probably shatter records in Chicago because it's CM Punk in Chicago. But there's money to be made. They can make a lot of money off of CM Punk. There's a lot of mileage you can still get out of CM Punk if he just stands in line and just does his thing. And honest to goodness, the more I hear other people in the AEW locker room coming to Punk's defense, I really am starting to think there is collusion there. I'm not saying that the Second City Saint is an actual saint. I'm sure he ruffles people the wrong way because there's people in WWE that have issues with him. But the way that it seems like it's like, I know that it's not the biggest like name, but like Fuego del Sol comes out and said that CM Punk was one of those ones that wanted to come out and help people. He goes, he came to me. He gave me advice on wrestling. He goes, I injured my foot just like he did. He gave me advice on that. He goes, I can't say a bad thing about CM Punk, and I would say he actually helped me out more than anybody else. It really does paint a narrative that the elite, mainly the freaking nutsacks that are hanging off of Tony Khan's scrotum, they're the problem. I don't think that, and I've said this before, and I've said this, and I'll keep saying this. Nobody in this situation looks good. To the point, I actually listened to Tony Khan's interview he did with Dan Le Batard. I didn't even know this was a thing until I found it this week. And I'm telling you right now that was the worst interview I've ever heard anybody take a part in.
The worst.
He just like he kept avoiding the question. And I love Dan Le Batard. I've been a fan of Dan Le Batard for many years. I love the fact that he called out Tony Khan. He goes, you know what? He goes, we're asking you questions, and all you want to do is keep promoting the same thing over and over again. He goes, give us something, anything. Tell us anything. Tell us CM Punk attacked you, just anything. And he just like, oh, no, well, and come on. He backpedaled and just avoided the situation. I think there's too many people that are still in the wrong in all of this, and and it's again why I'm still banning AEW. I only have one note about AEW on my list, and I had to put him on there because if I'm not mistaken,
he's a Hall of Famer. Damn it,
he's a multiple-time Hall of Famer.
Yes,
and I had to put him in there. But other than that, I didn't have anything else I had to put. I haven't even mentioned the fact that I even realized Powerhouse Hobbs was in the Don Callis family. See what the Bucks have done to me? This is all their fault. And don't worry, they're going to win many Marquee Awards this year. I guarantee it. Not as many as Christian. No. Nobody's going to clean house like Christian this year. I'm telling you right now. But the Young Bucks have ruined AEW for me. I will not watch it as long as those two fuckheads are still EVPs. And the fact is that I think that CM Punk's getting a raw deal. I also think that the people who are... Think about the two sources that are saying, oh, CM Punk's not going back to WWE. It's Fightful. You know how I feel about Sean Sapp Ross.
Yeah.
And Meltzer. I don't believe anything that Fightful says in any connotation because of the fact that Will Washington, who used to work for Fightful, is now employed by AEW in some kind of weird, stupid capacity. It makes him some kind of an executive because he worked at Fightful with the crybaby from Kentucky. Oh, I just want 5 minutes alone with freaking Sean Ross Sapp. I'd knock all of his teeth out, make him rich. But and Dave Meltzer? Are you kidding me? I mentioned it. What was it, last week or a couple weeks ago when I was on the show? I think it was, or if it hasn't been mentioned, the fact that AEW has more 5-star matches than WWE in 4 years compared to, we'll just say 40 the years of WrestleMania. Because he's so caught up in the times that he has to basically kiss the ass of the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. And again, Kenny gets less of my vitriol compared to the Young Bucks because at least Kenny Omega looks like an athlete and can actually, and looks like he's one of those ones that actually was willing to work with CM Punk. It's the two bitches that call themselves Jacksons, the Young Bucks. That's my problem. And I just think that with CM Punk going to WWE, Jay, there's a lot of money to be made. Because you could continue on because we already know that there's friction between him and Roman. We already know there's friction between him and Seth Rollins. Obviously, he wasn't getting along with John Moxley, so that adds on to that. I don't think they're going to add Moxley into any, But, WWE has ways of working things in. But most importantly, the one person he has the most friction with in WWE is Triple H. I know Triple H doesn't wrestle anymore, but you could bring up all that stuff from the past, all those things he said, the doofus son-in-law, him and Triple H going face-to-face in those those promos, after he had come back when he was feuding with Kevin Nash, which I really didn't need to see at that time. But there's money to be made. You could get a lot of mileage out of CM Punk for as long as you can before he does something stupid and pisses somebody off. But I just think that at this point now, because he realizes that his only other option is Impact or NWA. And the fact that NWA has said that they've reached out and were like, hey, we want to sign CM Punk. Impact offered him a contract. And he hasn't signed. He wants to go back to WWE. I think that if he really wants to go back there, he's going to do everything in his power to be the good Samaritan that he needs to be to make it work. Because at the end of the day, with CM Punk going back to WWE, there's still money to be made, and that's what's going to end up happening.
All right. So Tim saying, I think Endeavor wants Punk back.
Yep.
Chris Brown saying money can still be made if he's booked well and is kept on a leash at work. Mike Rainey chiming in about Diego del Sol, saying that MJF was making some racist comments about him behind his back in AEW. I don't really trust what he has, too. Tim hates the Young Bucks, too. Darby Allin came out this week and said he's wrestling with a broken shoulder.
And then goes out and does those death-defying tricks that he's been doing. I like Darby Allin. I really do. But come on, man. You got to use some common sense. You might have a broken shoulder and you're going out there and doing stupid shit.
Right.
Come on, man. Use some common
Tim's
sense.
Saying, I really like the Lexus King build so far with the promos. My only wish is that Christian could work with him with his dad bashing.
I think that ship is unfortunately sailed. But man, I have enjoyed him and his vignettes in NXT. I'm excited for him. I don't expect him to be, a main event caliber guy, but he's definitely somebody who's going to be an upper mid-card guy who could at least, flirt with the main event people. He's going to get that opportunity. I think that he's in the right place. He's cut. I mean, come on, Jay. This is such good shit, pal.
Good shit, pal. Hey, since you said such good shit, I'd really have to bring this up. F and Mark's Hall of Famer Tim sent me a thing from Todd Pettengill, which I then forwarded to the Brainless one.
Oh, man.
That was quite literally such good
shit, pal.
According to Todd Pettengill, when he interviewed at WWE, he had finished his interview, went to the facility, believe Vince had just left the building, and he's like, I went into the bathroom, and I'm paraphrasing here, I am not quoting, but it was so rank that he jokingly says, hey man, how about a courtesy flush? Next thing he hears,
yes. I shall do the courtesy flush. That's such funny shit, pal.
Vince McMahon found it so funny that said, I have to hire you. I have to hire you.
I have to hire you now, pal.
And he ended up hiring him, and Todd Pettengill was a solid representative of WWE. And I just have to state this for you, Brainless One, in the chat. Don't Eat Brown Snow says, Omega, 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 Omega.
Ugh. He couldn't even throw an X-Pac in there?
No X-Pac was thrown in there. No Young Bucks thrown in there.
Oh, there you go. Give Don't Eat Brown Snow some extra ammunition.
Yes.
Tell him the Young Bucks.
The ammunition.
While you're at it, let's tell him that I don't like Von Wagner either. Oh my God.
He's so good.
They're trying to. What are they doing with him? They're playing off the head injury. He's had his head bandaged up on Tuesday. I'm like, what is this shit?
Did that make you laugh that he has a headache?
No. I mean, kind of, but I mean, no. And then he's like, Robert Stone's going to challenge Braun Breaker? Why? You're going to go from standing toe-to-toe with the second greatest gimmick wrestler in the history of professional wrestling. You're not beating a monsoon of gorillas. I don't care what anybody says. The Undertaker.
And you barely beat a garbage man. Right?
Right.
Am I
right?
right?
Right.
Am I right?
Am I
Duke
right?
Drosy?
Right.
WrestleMania 17.
Oh,
He was
God.
going to win that. He almost won that.
Jay, I don't know. Again, if I could get into a time machine and change my decision on anything, I would have loved to, honest to goodness, if the podcast was around 22 years ago and we were doing the predictions for that match and I said Duke Josie, I think that we would have had a Bobby Heenan, Hacksaw Jim Duggan situation on our hand with you laughing like Bobby Heenan did when Tony Schiavone said that Hacksaw Jim Duggan was an intelligent man.
Or like us last week when Vince Russo extended his hand to help AEW.
I'm so glad that I was able to dedicate my week of memes to that piece of shit. The shit stain one. Jay, I was crying when I did the shit stain one. I was like, I don't know what I was thinking when I did that. They're the same picture. It's Vince Russo in a shit stain. I should have sent it to Cornette. Damn it. Why didn't I think of that?
You still can.
There's still time.
You still can.
But yeah, I really wish I had not picked Duke Josie. But anyway, Braun Breaker going toe-to-toe with The Undertaker to fighting Robert Stone. I know that he was Robbie E in Impact, but...
With Cookie.
Yes. I would love a cookie.
Because
I'm fat.
From Samoa Joe.
See, I would say yes, but I don't like coconut, so I was never a fan of Samoans.
All right.
But hold on. If Samoa Joe sold me a Samoan cookie, I would probably buy it. I would have no choice. I saw him chuck that box at that poor little girl.
So good.
Girl Scout Samoans. Oh. And we did mention that since we did talk about Lexis King and everything, Jade Cargill is another name. And it appears that both of them are going to be making their debuts in the ring next week. I think it's next week at NXT Halloween Havoc. I think that if they're going to do it, they should make it the following week so they could have Halloween Havoc actually happen on Halloween. But, I mean, what do I know? I'm brainless. But anyway, I'm excited to see what they do. I'm curious to see who he ends up wrestling. I'm curious to see what they're doing with they're going to end up doing with Jade Cargill. I've enjoyed everything they've done up to this point. They have made her a big deal. We saw it on SmackDown this week where she had her face-to-face with Charlotte. She had a face-to-face with Becky Lynch. She pointed at her watch to tell the time. Yeah, she's going to be there for Halloween Havoc. And I'm excited for it. I really am curious to see what they do with both of them because it's going to be a good gauge of how WWE is going to treat all the former AEW stars going forward. I mean, yes, granted, we see it with Cody, but come on. Cody is not a former AEW star in WWE. Cody Rhodes is back in WWE. He's getting this treatment because he is the son of one of the most influential wrestlers in the history of professional wrestling and a former WWE. He was there for 10 years. This is going to be the real test for WWE. If they want to get the Ricky Starks, and they want to get the MJFs, and they want to get the Wardlows, and they want to get anybody else, this is going to be the point. Jade Cargill, and I hate to say it, Brian Pillman Jr. are going to be the two, I guess, catalysts for this to see what happens going forward. And I really am excited to see what WWE brings to both of them, or does with both of them, I should say.
I enjoy what they've done with Cargill. I would not say she's a star yet, but they make her feel like a big damn deal.
She's very important. She looks very important. They've been booking her like she's important.
And Lexus King, let's see what they do with him. Can he do what many other second generation and third generation stars couldn't, which was break out of the shadow, become your own person, and be a star on your own? Because that's what he's trying to do. That's what his promos have been about. That's what it feels like he's going.
I've enjoyed it. I love the fact that this is the route they're going, because he was Brian Pillman Jr. in MLW. He was Brian Pillman Jr. in AEW. Now he's not. I am not. I didn't know that guy. I was 4 when he died. I never really knew my father that much. So why should I follow in his footsteps and be compared to him? I've loved it. I have absolutely loved what they've done with him. And I really am excited to see what he does. Because he was always good in the ring. I'm not saying he's, AJ Styles or Bryan Danielson, but he's also not Nia Jax or the Great Khali.
To be fair, nobody is Nia Jax or the Great Khali. And one of them, by the way, is a Hall of Famer. And I'm going to guess the second one will be a Hall of Famer, too.
That's when the Hall of Fame is going to go right down the shitter. Is when that freaking
the Nia
horrible
Jax line, once the Nia Jax line is made.
Jay, I'm going to boycott the Hall of Fame forever. I'm going to probably boycott every Hall of Fame forever after she's in the WWE one. I'm not even going to want to. I'm going to want them to remove the words Hall of Fame from my brain. And then I'm done with WWE.
They can't remove it from your brain if you don't have one.
What are you trying to say? That I'm brainless? That's preposterous.
Great Scott. Tim says, still best live opening segment, Samoa Joe telling Jeff Hardy to act like he's in an AA meeting and shut his mouth while sharing with the group, and Orton breaks character laughing. Tim's or Chris Brown saying, I'd love to see Cargill get into Rhea Ripley's face and see if she can do what Nia failed to do.
So you don't want to see Jade Cargill botch a Samoan bonsai drop?
Apparently not. Or break Becky Lynch's face again.
But
right.
Jay,
Tony Brown Snow saying Great Khali is now teaching wrestling. LOL. He has his own wrestling school.
What? Of what? How not to be a professional wrestler? You just learn from. You just see what the Great Khali does in the ring. How is he not the line now, Jay? How is he? How is it not the Great Khali line? Why is it still? Is it still the Coco Beware line? Should it be the Great Khali?
It's still the Coco Beware line. The Great Khali won a World Heavyweight Championship. Because of him, we got the Punjabi prison match. That's above the Coco Beware line already. Even though he was not as good of a worker as Coco Beware, he had a better run in WWE, and it is the WWE Hall of Fame we're talking about here. So if you're talking about accolades in the career, Great Khali is well above the Coco Beware line.
He was also tremendous in The Longest Yard, by the way.
Yes.
He wasn't even the most entertaining wrestler. My favorite, and I hate to say this, I really am going to hate to say this. My favorite wrestler from The Longest Yard was Kevin Nash. Because he was freaking hysterical. I loved him in that movie.
You know what? Kevin Nash has always been a funny dude.
Yes, I'll agree with that.
Like he knows how to work with the audience. He knows how to say things.
I've enjoyed him in movies. Honest to goodness, I have.
Yeah. Super Shredder.
Yes.
Also in The Punisher. All right. Daniel McDurdy, do something here in New Zealand. Hey, I wouldn't be against that. WWE has been doing a lot of shows outside of the United States, and I'm sure they would do really well if there was a stadium in New Zealand for them to have a big presence. I know, like, Australia right now is where they're going. They've gone to Australia a few times. I think going to New Zealand would be perfect for them, quite honestly. I think they would sell out that show, and because New Zealand does not get big wrestling shows, that crowd would be bonkers. It would be absolutely bonkers. And then is Nikolai Volkov above the Coco Beware line? Yes. He won a tag team championship and won a WrestleMania match.
He pulled off one of the biggest. He was part of one of the biggest upsets in WrestleMania history. It wasn't Fandango beating Jericho at 29, but Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik beating, I think it was Barry Windham and
The
Mike
US
Rotunda.
Express.
Yep. For the WWF tag team titles.
Yeah. WrestleMania 1.
Plus, I mean, another of the things, like when it comes to being a Hall of Famer, one of the things we like to bring up is, what memorable thing have you done? Him standing in the ring before his matches, singing the Soviet national anthem, the fans booing, and then the Iron Sheik doing what the Iron Sheik does. Do not boo him doing this. Haktor.
I know the words to the Soviet national anthem because of Nikolai Volkov. When I saw Rocky IV, I was singing the words to the Soviet national anthem because of Nikolai Volkov. Donnie Brown Snow says Kevin Nash is a better actor than he is a wrestler. I'm not going to disagree with that. He drew more money as a professional wrestler. Whether you like him or not, he drew more money as a professional wrestler than he did as an actor.
Yes, he drew so much money that when he was WWF champion in 1995, he did not main event WrestleMania that year.
Right.
Remember that. I know I do. I'll never forget the fact that Kevin Nash, as WWF champion, did not main event WrestleMania in 1995, which was, I think, number 11 at the Hartford Civic Center, home of one of the most prestigious franchises in professional sports, the Hartford Whalers.
Yes.
And all 987 of their season ticket holders.
Yes. Which is as many games in a row as the Iron Man Doug Jarvis played.
It could be worse, Jay. I've seen more people at a Whalers game than I see at frickin' Rampage.
Nah. Now, speaking of attendance, AEW is going to be down in Texas, and they have brought Mystico, the former original Sin Cara, in for the show. And since the announcement of him being at the show, they have moved 2,000 tickets. I don't know if he's rebuilt himself or they're close enough to the Mexican border where there are a lot of people who just, they grew up with him. They saw what we didn't see, I guess, in WWE. But apparently Mystico has built himself back up enough where people want to see what he does. What do you think about that?
Sin Cara, I will never forget that, because it was around the time Triple H first got into, was less of being a wrestler, more into like behind the scenes and doing the backstage stuff. And he made a big deal and a big to-do about it, was that Sin Cara was the big free agent acquisition internationally, and Triple H, this was his first big international signing, and it blew up in his face. To the point where they took, who was it, Hunico? The guy that used to ride the bicycle to the ring like he was Debo?
Yeah, him with Haku's son.
Yes. And, they had their thing, and they just basically put the mask on him, and then he was like, oh, Sin Cara's a badass. Oh, that's because, the man without a face is now a man with a different, not a face. But Jay, I've seen enough of him in WWE to realize that it don't matter to me. I don't need it. What do I need to see the blue ring again? Do I have to sit there and watch him jump off a trampoline and miss the ring? And who is he wrestling anyway? Is he fighting? Let me guess. He's fighting Kenny Omega, isn't he?
I guess we'll see. Chris Brown coming back to the Hall of Fame commentary. What about the Barry Horowitz line or the Andy Kaufman line when it comes to wrestling competency? Hey, Barry Horowitz, in my view, is more Hall of Fame worthy than Coco Beware.
Andy Kaufman. When I talk about like celebrities going into the WWE Hall of Fame, they had a handful of slam dunks that they hit. Andy Kaufman's number one on that list. I am sorry. What him and Jerry Lawler were able to do in Memphis, considering the fact that they were the biggest story in wrestling outside of anything that the McMahon family ever did.
On top of the fact, David Letterman calls that the show that made him famous. David Letterman got over. I'm using the wrestling term, even though we're talking about an American audience tuning in to watch David Letterman.
Yep.
David Letterman would not have been what he was without Lawler and Kaufman. Yep. And Kaufman loved professional wrestling and certainly a better performer in the ring than the great Khali. Better than many others. Better than Drew Carey, who's in WWE Hall of Fame. Andy Kaufman definitely jumps over the Drew Carey line. And as a draw, he definitely is way above the Coco Beware line.
And I'll admit it, I was just as disappointed that Andy Kaufman didn't show up at the Hall of Fame acceptance this year as I was when the Iron Sheik did not come out at WrestleMania 38 last year.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, I take that back. There was nothing more disappointing in the history of me and my 35 years of being a wrestling fan than the fact that the Iron Sheik did not show up at WrestleMania 38 last year.
Very sad.
I was more disappointed about that than I was about Jericho losing the Fandango. Sad.
All right. Tim chiming in saying he wants to see Mystico break his finger again and quit the match. Now, if he's going against Alberto, I mean, Alberto will just beat the crap out of him anyway.
Speaking of, since you did mention Alberto Del Patron, Rio, whatever, apparently there was rumors that he was heading back to WWE. I don't think there's any.
He probably started that.
Yeah, I'm sure he did too. I wouldn't put it past him. Nobody loves Alberto Del Rio as much as Alberto Del Rio. And you want to talk about missed opportunities with a guy, and it's just too bad if he was a head case. I could not, for the life of me, get behind any of those vignettes that they did with him when he was first coming up in WWE. I thought this guy comes off as a pompous ass and all this stuff. And then they gave us Ricardo Rodriguez, and they gave us the car, and they gave us the waterfall. Like, again, when I talk all about presentation, the way that they presented Alberto Del Rio is the prime definition of doing that. And he wasn't terrible in the ring. As long as he wasn't sharing the ring with Mirka Krokoff, who kicked him in the face and knocked him the fuck out. But the guy was very, very serviceable in the ring. If we don't, minus the terrible booking decision that they had when they had him turn face on the Big Show, who may or may not have turned face and heel 27 times in the match. And then the following week, they had him as the heel as he ran over Santa Claus with his car.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. I don't need to see Alberto Del Rio in WWE ever again. He's just as much going to be a WWE Hall of Famer as Voldemort.
Yeah.
And by Voldemort, I mean the piece of shit from Canada who killed his wife and his kid.
I got you.
I know there's many Voldemorts in this world.
That there are. Donnie
Yeah,
Brown says, I still don't understand why Drew Carey is in the Hall of Fame. Jay Leno did more for wrestling than Drew Carey.
Bob Uecker
I
did
don't
more for
disagree.
wrestling.
I don't disagree.
That's another list. I got another top 10. This is fantastic. I had a hard time putting a top 10 list today, and now I got 2 ideas going forward.
Yeah.
Top 10 celebrities. Hall of
So
Fame.
one thing that was mentioned in the chat a little bit ago, and I'll circle back to it. There was some chatter that they were going to continue the Wyatt family storyline with Uncle Howdy. And that was a week or two ago. And I don't even think we really mentioned it last week.
We
I
didn't.
didn't put a ton of stock in it. And it's come out this week. It sounds like, I don't know if it's because Bo is like, no, I don't feel this. I don't know if it's WWE saying, nah.
It's not such good shit, pal.
I have a feeling that Bo is like, I came back for my brother because he seemed fairly content to go and I think more or less be a farmer
Yeah.
and just live his life. Like, yeah,
I
man,
see
I'll
what you
come
did
back
there.
and be with my brother.
Live
Yeah.
his life. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
And I agree. I don't see them bringing back the Uncle Howdy, carrying on the Wyatt, the whole storyline. I'm sorry. That kind of went away when he passed away. I'm sorry. I can't get behind it.
Well,
I
and it sounds like they've decided against it. I'm sure Bo Dallas, if he gets the itch in another year or two, like they'll give him an opportunity. But it sounds like he is completely content with not wrestling anymore and, just living his life.
Now, if it was a former tag team partner of Bo Dallas that they wanted to bring back as a full time in ring
Not
competitor,
just a producer.
I mean, I there's not anybody out there. I would actually be more happy and on board with Curtis Axel returning to WWE than CM Punk, and I want to see CM Punk back. Just because, there's a lot of hate and spite in my heart, Cousin Jay. So I want to see CM Punk back just for the fact that he's going to stick it to Tony Khan. I'm sorry, what did I call him now? Not Captain Cocaine. He's what is he? He's Tony the. I know he's Tony the Snowman. He's Michael Hayes' favorite booker. Actually, I wouldn't mind seeing Tony Khan and Michael Hayes in a bag of Coke on a pole match.
Wait. You can't tell me Tony Khan would be Michael Hayes' favorite booker. It's got to be Herb Abrams. It's got to be.
Oh, Herb Abrams and Tony Khan are the same person.
Tim calling him the Cocaine Superman.
Oh, there was a name I had for him. Now I can't think of it off the top of my head. Damn you, brainless brain of mine. How I can remember that Kevin Nash did not main event WrestleMania 11 almost 30 years ago, but I can't remember the name I gave Tony Khan about 30 minutes ago.
Well, Donnie Brown Snow, I want Punk to come back just so Cody can break his leg. LOL. Well, yeah. I mean, while we're in the process of talking about people and their nicknames and people returning, I have to bring up the Mauler of Meatloaf.
Oh, I gotta find that list again. The many names of Cassius Ohno,
a.k.a. Chris Hero, a.k.a. the Knockout Artist, a.k.a. the Golden Corral Destroyer.
the Buffet Basher.
Yeah. So, Chris Hero ended up making a save at a match at West Coast Wrestling. And he ended up making a challenge, and he will be wrestling a match November 17th in sunny California. Now, I know he did a run-in. I know that there was some physicality involved, but watching the clip, it felt like he was out of breath just talking.
Now, I have many questions. The most important question I have is, did he do a run-in or did he do a waddle-in?
And I don't think he got stuck underneath the ropes.
That was my next question. Did he get stuck between the bottom rope and the mat again? There we go. Was this an open challenge? Did he issue an open challenge? Tell me he issued an open challenge.
No. He is challenging. Who was it?
The Hamburglar.
Yes, actually, that's it. Hamburglar versus Chris Hero, and they're going to be fighting over a hamburger on a pole match. It's booked by Vince Russo because he believed the West Coast Wrestling needed help with their booking, and they actually accepted his offer.
What a freaking productive episode of the podcast we're having. Jay, I mentioned earlier, I had a hard time putting the top 10 list together for tonight. I had 3 or 4 different ideas, and I had to cross them off every time, kind of threw it together. But now I got top 10 Cena booking failures, whereas they completely shoved him down everybody's throat, and I'm going to do that. I also have the top 10 celebrities who should be in the Hall of Fame over El Jefe's dad. And now I have the top 10 dream matches for Cassius Ohno. This is great. I love it when I get a lot of ammunition. I love it. Oh, and I can't wait to see Cassius Ohno get in the ring. So as long as they have, it's
In the chat, Tim says, is Chris Hero as big as King Kong Bundy now?
As long as we get Nigel McGuinness on the call and he tells whoever it is when he's in the match.
He starts off at 350. By the end of the match, he's 425.
By the end of the match, he weighs as much as Andre the Giant did when Hulk Hogan slammed him and tore every ligament in his back after slamming the Giant, and then the Giant died 9 days later.
I mean, 700 pounds, and I don't think there are ligaments in your back, but
that's what he said.
Hey, that's never stopped the Hulkster, brother.
Takes the bite out of wrestling.
He has ligaments where people don't.
It's funny too because now every time I see that match with him and the Undertaker at Survivor Series 1991, and I see that Hogan's head was like 5 inches from the mat when he told the Undertaker he fucked up his neck.
Brother.
You injured me, brother. I would have loved to have been and I know I've said this a bunch of times about being a fly on the wall in the backstage area of a wrestling show. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when the Undertaker saw the clip of him tombstoning the Undertaker from Survivor Series 91 after Hogan told him he fucked up his neck.
Yeah. So on the chat, Tim says another top 10 list. What is the Chris Hero booking fee? Is it, 10 Golden Corral buffets?
What is he? He's what is it? Wimpy? Was that the guy's name? I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today.
Yeah. I
remember that. Cheese and crackers. I remember that, but I can't remember what I nicknamed Tony Khan I can't believe it. I can't think of it. It's got to be in my notes somewhere.
By the way, this might be the banner I'm most proud of that I have made for this show.
Jay, we're going to be done with the podcast. I'm still going to be laughing about the Mauler of Meatloaf takes another bite out of wrestling. Oh, I haven't been feeling well for a few days, so the fact that I'm laughing is just making it all better. Oh,
yeah.
That's no, Jay, you've outdone yourself. I don't even. That's glorious. That's Bobby Roode right there.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good shit.
All right, Chris Brown saying the Mauler of Meatloaf and Kevin Owens compete in a Chop the Buffet massacre.
See, it's only a problem if they're going after the same Cupcake, which is another match that I'm going to have the 10 matches for Chris Hero. That I think is going to be number one. It's going to be Kevin Owens versus Cassius Ono in a Cupcake on a pole match where we actually see bloodshed, like a Moxley match.
Wait. Should this be a triple threat match with Pac?
No, it wouldn't be fair because Cassius Ono would probably eat him.
And instead of having it be like a Cupcake on a pole match, should it be a hollowed out tree match? Whoever wins gets dominion over that.
No, because Cassius Ono can't fit in the hollowed out tree.
Oh no!
He's gonna get stuck in it.
Wait! Didn't Shrek fit into a hollowed out tree? Shrek wasn't small.
Yeah, but Shrek wasn't the size
there's a place there is a place out there now on Airbnb in Scotland where you could be in a hollowed out tree just like Shrek. I bet that's where he lives. I bet he owns that house.
Who, Shrek or Cassius Ono?
Yes.
Oh, that poor bastard. The guy who was winless at NXT takeovers, Cassius Ono. He was like Jay Buhner going up against Pedro Martinez. 0 for 37 with 37 strikeouts.
Ooh, don't eat brown snow has, I mean, you want to talk about a stipulation. This is greater than a loser leaves town match.
The loser pays the tab?
Chris Hero versus Kevin Owens. Loser gets banned from Golden Corral.
Oh, that's even better. I like it.
That's brutal. Brutal.
Yeah, Kevin Owens ain't winning that match. Now, hold on. If we were to make it a triple threat, though, we'd have to include Otis.
Yeah.
Or make it a fatal four-way and throw Braun Strowman in there.
Yeah.
Although they would have to reinforce the ring for that fatal four-way match like they did with the stage when Chris Christie was on the debate in 2016 for the presidential thing.
Right. All right, we have Alpha Zero. I think Russia is about to have a revolution like U.S. did in 1870. Was it 1870? Alpha Zero, it was 1776. We did have a civil war in 1861, but yeah.
Where we kicked our own ass.
Make sure, though, you hit the subscribe button on the YouTubes. That way you could tune in and join in with the fun where you could talk about our favorite sport we all love to hate, professional wrestling, every week. We'd love to have you along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can talk about how Cassius Ohno got stuck between the bottom rope and the mat when he wrestled Matt Riddle. It took him longer to get into the ring than the actual match was. And it's not because I'm not talking about the actual entrance. I'm talking about him actually physically getting into the ring. Because he got stuck between the bottom rope and the mat, and then they needed to get the Crisco to get him into the ring. At least that's how I remembered it.
Right. Alpha Zero saying he believes there will be civil war in Russia soon, a new nation born. I saw a graphic somewhere, I think it was on Facebook, it might have been somewhere else, but somebody said, what part of the book of Revelation are we going to play today? And they're not off. They're not wrong. Biblical prophecy feels like it's happening almost every day, and it's like, bro.
Which is funny because...
so Tim actually chiming in here about with all that's happening on the world, specifically the Middle East, with all that's going on, how anxious is WWE about going to Saudi Arabia?
if I remember correctly, I don't know if it was the last time they were in Saudi Arabia or the one before that, where there was some shit going on over in that area, and they were worried about what was going to happen. I'll tell you this much: WWE isn't going to go there unless they have, without doubt, no issues is going to happen. They're going to have the utmost security, and if there's any kind of a security threat, they're not going. They're not going to risk it. There's too many people.
Now I know Vince isn't in charge, but I kind of disagree with that take. They literally went into the middle of Iraq to do tribute of the troops while Iraq was still a war zone.
Well, hold on. They might be fine going to Saudi Arabia if Brock Lesnar's there, because nobody's going to fuck with them if Brock Lesnar's there.
Right.
And if they need reinforcements, they can call Ken Shamrock. They could definitely call Steve Blackman. And they could definitely call Dan the Beast Severn. And just send them all there to be backup. I ain't fucking with them. What are you, crazy? That's Steve Blackman. That's the Lethal Weapon, man. I'm surprised the Saudi Prince hasn't even asked for the Lethal Weapon, Steve Blackman, since he asked for the Ultimate Warrior and Yokozuna, and they're both dead.
Right.
This guy here is dead.
Well,
then cross them off.
Chris Brown stating one of his favorite Saudi and or wrestling highlights of his life. No ring entrance will ever top Titus O'Neil face planting.
I saw a video real quick. I saw a video. It was a compilation. It was like the funniest moments in Royal Rumble history. And the first thing they showed was R-Truth in the Rumble when he came out to the ring and grabbed the ladder. And then the second thing was Santino getting eliminated. I wasn't ready. And then it was Titus O'Neil. And for whatever reason, whoever put this thing together did not get the clip of him actually going under the ring. They just got the call of Corey Graves calling it.
And Corey Graves unwittingly was like the MVP of that whole thing, because I don't think he saw it happen originally and then could not stop laughing once he realized that Titus did the faceplant and did the headfirst dive under the ring, much like Rey Mysterio when he goes outside the ring. Except for there was nothing that really made that happen. That is the highlight of Titus O'Neil's wrestling career.
Poor bastard.
As much as I loved when what the heck? Who was his tag team partner?
Darren Young.
When he and Darren Young, millions of dollars. I love them. They were great.
Primetime players, baby.
That's right.
Making moves, making $1 million moves, making $1 million moves. And he's
who was their manager? Was it Abraham Washington?
It was Abraham Washington.
Yeah.
And it's such a shame too, because he's such a great ambassador for WWE, and he's done such great things outside of the ring for WWE. And I really do. If he's not already in, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's well deserving of being in the WWE Hall of Fame, just because of all of the things he's done outside of it. On top of the fact that he's a former tag team champion and he has one of the greatest moments in Saudi Arabia history.
I also had like one personal interaction with him. It was not long after. It was when Rock and Cena were having their build up to their first match at WrestleMania. And Rock wasn't going to be around, so they had to do something with Cena to at least take your mind off whatever the hell was going on. Or the lack of the fact that The Rock was not there.
Right.
And they had Titus dress up and play a character named Pancake Patterson. It was one of the best bad segments I've ever seen in my life. And when WWE came to Providence, I ended up going to the hotel/bar that the performers were at, ran into Titus, shook his hand, and said, "Hey, when is Pancake Patterson coming back?" He kind of half chuckled, smiled at me. It's like, I don't know. We'll see. We have not seen Pancake Patterson return. We probably will never see Pancake Patterson return. But Titus O'Neil is a stand-up dude, and I believe will be a Warrior Award recipient. I don't believe he is going to get in on the accolades of his wrestling career, even though, in my view, he is above the Coco Beware line.
I agree.
On a separate note, Alpha Zero, Russians are nice people. They have asshole leaders. Yes, that seems true. If Russia has a young guy running the country, our relationships would change 360. Putin, old fart, stuck in Cold War. Putin will take Russia to the grave. It's like old Texas guy, so hard-headed, nothing will change his mind. You know, I certainly hope for world peace, but it seems like the world does not want that, and I hope cooler heads will prevail. And it seems like the politicians, as Black Sabbath said back many, many moons ago with their song War Pigs, talking about, you know, rich politicians making wars for the poor people to fight.
Yes.
I don't have beef with like anybody in any country. I bet if I met y'all, I'd be okay with you. But when you got leaders who are being special, it's like no, thank you. But
Well,
Alpha Zero, we certainly thank you for tuning in, chiming in.
and and I
Now,
want
do
to.
you have anything to say about professional wrestling? Because we do have that Vladimir Kozlov, the former Vladimir Kozlov, has actually returned to professional wrestling.
I'm so glad because thank you, cousin Jay, because now I have a fourth top 10 list that I have going forward. The top 10 countries that piss off the Brainless one,
All right.
or the top 10 countries I have beef with.
Is one of them the Young Bucks?
They're not a country.
I think they are.
No, but I can tell you who the number one country is going to be. China. Thanks to
All right.
China, I am now the Ocho.
Sad.
And by the time I come up with this list of way things are going, I'm going to be the Ferris Bueller.
All right. Yeah. Talking about other professional wrestlers you're not a fan of, Sammy Guevara
Oh,
was
God.
hoping to make a return to the ring in his hometown of Houston in the coming weeks, but he suffered a concussion and definitely sounding like he will not be on that card, will not be able to perform in front of the hometown crowd.
That was actually a question I was going to ask. I mean, and first of all, I'm sad. My heart weeps for Sammy Guevara because he's not going to be able to wrestle in Houston. My heart weeps. I'm not going to be able to watch Sammy Guevara wrestle. Oh, boo-hoo! What am I gonna do with myself? I don't know what to do. I'm so sad that Sammy Guevara is not going to be able to wrestle in Houston. But I was going to ask you, since they are going to be showcasing Rhea Ripley, and I'm sorry, we're going back to the whole Elimination Chamber, but it just slipped my mind, and it made me think of it now. Now that Rhea Ripley is going to be showcased in the Elimination Chamber in Australia, in her hometown, in her home country,
Yeah.
do they do the same bullshit that they've done 99.9% of the time and have her drop the belt? Oh, excuse me, in Australia, in the land down under. How about we throw another shrimp on the bar bag?
Vince is not in control anymore. All that bullcrap, I think, is out. As much as I understand and understood to an extent why Vince wanted to do that, they go to Australia like once a decade, now's not the time to pull that bull crap. So
Fair enough.
I would say no. I don't think that would be a good place for her to lose the title. You know, I don't know if Triple H holds the same thing that Vince did. I think he kind of does. Send the crowd home happy. Even though she's playing a heel, she is going to be the biggest face in the world in Australia. You want to send the crowd home happy. She needs to win her match.
And that's gonna be the main event too. I would be stunned if the women's elimination chamber was not the main event of elimination chamber in Australia at 4:00 in the morning here.
Right.
That might be one that I'm going to be boycotting, but for an entirely different reason.
Right.
At least I'm not going to be running around to 7-Eleven at 3:00 in the morning in Portsmouth trying to buy beer.
All right.
That was an experience.
Yes. All right. Tim asking, who's the more annoying pair, the Bella Twins or Sammy and Tay Conti? I will add a third team to that. Sasha Banks.
Wait. How are you going to only have a team of one?
Because she's Sasha Banks. She's
And Mercedes Moné?
And Mercedes Moné.
Okay, I'm on board with this. But no, it's yes. I don't want to see, and that's another thing. The Garcia twins are talking about making a return to wrestling, have them go to AEW. Yeah, go ahead. I want to see the Bella Twins in AEW. Because you know why? Because I'm not going to watch the Bella Twins in AEW. I have no reason to watch AEW. Their women's division is trash. They think they're going to be an upgrade? What?
You did mention the women's division. PWI came out with their top 250 women's professional wrestlers this year, topped off by, I would say, nobody will have an argument about this, with Rhea Ripley.
I'm sure people will, because it's AEW fans out there that are probably mad that Moxley was number 3.
No, this is women.
I understand, but they're the same.
Okay, so you're saying Moxley is now identified as a woman. Does Renee know about this?
Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, he bleeds for 3 or 4 days straight, once a month.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying that AEW is the ones that are going to have an issue with Rhea Ripley being number 1 because it's not an AEW person. No, it should be Britt Baker. It should be Chris Statlander. It should be whoever's the Hikaru Shida. Riho.
So, the top 10, they have 2 WWE performers. They've got 2 Stardom performers. They have technically 2 AEW performers, although Athena's also on the list, and she's kind of AEW and Ring of Honor. 2 Impact stars and 1 NWA star. We have Rhea Ripley. We have Julia, who is from Stardom. We got Bianca Belair. We got Jamie Hayter. I can't even read my own writing, but I think it says Tam Nakano, Athena, Deonna Purrazzo, Willow Nightingale, Camille from NWA, and Jordan Grace.
Camille is 9.
Yeah.
Hold on. Camille, who has been NWA Women's Champion for blows Jade Cargill's record out of the water. I think she's been champion for 700 and some odd days. She's 9. She's 9. She's below Willow Nightingale and Athena.
Yeah.
What? Who's putting these lists together? Is it Meltzer?
No.
Where's that murder moth bitch? Is she on that list too, or whatever it was? The moth lady who was on the list last year that
I'm
we were
just
making
listing
fun of?
off the top 10. I don't have all that. But
Camille Brickhouse is 9, and she's
so one thing that I think is going to help her out right here, NWA has signed a deal with the CW network. CW is a broadcast channel, which means if you have an antenna, you could get CW. This allows them to have potentially a much larger reach, and I think this is most of the reason why Camille is not higher on the list. If she has more exposure, if she is the champion, continues to be the champion, next year it could be a completely different story as far as this. Now, person when I posted this on the page, on the Facebook page, mentioned like, oh, this shows how the CW has fallen, where they're kind of reaching out and using something like NWA. I honestly, I think that's a fair assessment, but simultaneously, I think this is one of those things where I think this could be beneficial to both. CW is not what it was, and NWA is just trying to find a bigger home and a bigger fan base. CW has a bigger reach within the United States than what NWA Power was able to get on YouTube.
I agree.
That's the truth.
And the
I
truth
think that
shall set you free. Sorry.
I mean, if we go back 4 years, I mean, a lot of people believed AEW might get. I think it was like 375,000 people to tune in, and they would have been happy with that.
Yep.
I think what CW is saying right now, this is a golden age of wrestling. We're going to get new content every week, even if we're not getting WWE numbers, even if we're not getting AEW numbers. There are people that are thirsty for wrestling. Let's see what happens. So Billy Corgan talked about it, a couple weeks ago. We talked about it on the podcast that they were signing on to, Billy Corgan said, a top 20 network. And this, like I said, this is broadcast. So that means you don't need cable.
Nope.
You can have rabbit ears on your TV and watch this station. So good for NWA. I think this could potentially be a big win-win for both. And if it doesn't work out, I don't see where either of them loses, because NWA says they are going to still have a presence on YouTube.
I think this is great. I think that, like you said, the more exposure they get, the better they're going to be. And I would love to watch more NWA. I don't even think about going on YouTube to watch it. So it gives them an outlet. And I've always liked Billy Corgan. I've appreciated his work in the Smashing Pumpkins, and I think it's great that he actually is the one that's behind NWA, as long as the Dancing Dino Man is not there as the world champion.
Yes, the Dancing Dino Man has retired. One face. There are certain gimmicks that I love. One person I haven't seen in a while that I really do want to see on my TV again is one Luigi Primo.
It's a pizza.
So good and terrible.
Good and
like
terrible
Randy
is the
Walker.
best way to put it. Yes. But I know we were just on the Rhea Ripley thing, and I think this is a good segue. For some weird reason, we have new tag team champions in WWE. Kind of.
We have some spooky champions in time for the Halloween season.
Spooky pals.
When they did this with Dom in the North American title, I was kind of on board. I don't like that they did this again. Lose it to win it back. I don't know if they were trying to do it to like on, ooh, maybe there's dissension in the ranks. Like, don't keep doing the same thing.
Agreed.
I didn't like that. Like,
as they've said before,
don't change the titles for shock value.
Lazy booking.
Yeah.
I didn't. I liked how they did it, where it was Jimmy Uso that cost Jay and Cody the tag team titles. That was the only thing I liked about it. If they're going to, for crying out loud, if they're going to keep hot potatoing these championships in WWE, they might as well just make it the TNT title.
Right.
They're going to have the USA Network Championship, so they can hot potato that 47 times in a year.
Chris Brown said on SmackDown, LA Knight said to Paul Heyman, "You step your ass out of this ring and I'll smack your hair back to gray."
Okay. I know I asked you this weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago. If LA, I mean, now that he is actually, not even if.
Yeah.
Now that he is wrestling Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship, whatever the hell it's called, is he now earned enough to get the Superstar of the Year Marquee Award?
Does he have to? He's done enough to get nominated. Quite honestly, if I'm going to say right now, for me, a leader in the clubhouse is Christian Cage.
He is
Superstar of the Year.
He has done more for a championship that he never won than anybody else has done with that said championship in any wrestling organization.
Yes.
He's gonna get a lot of love from me too. I'm telling you. A lot
of consideration.
He's gonna be like, I'm gonna be tweeting at him. Congratulations, Christian. You are a five-time Marquee Award winner this year.
And he's like, "On yes, bring me my flowers. I deserve them."
And he's gonna respond to me, "Go fuck yourself."
Tim asked the question, is WWE on course to make stars like they did during the Attitude Era? Lots of great building of new stars, I think. I think the way Triple H is booking, he is not making the mid-card or the mid-card titles, for the most part, look like a joke. The U.S. title has actually had, with Austin Theory having a decent reign with it, Rey Mysterio, outside of the fact that he got mauled like the meatloaf the Cassius Ohno eats by Bobby Lashley.
Now, hold on, Jay. Real quick, though. To be fair, if I was United States champion and I had to wrestle Bobby Lashley, I know he'd beat the shit out of me, too.
True.
I'm just saying, I mean, of all the times where a champion loses clean in a non-title match, I think this is one of the less egregious ones because it is Bobby Lashley and he is a beast.
There's only one beast, and that's Brock Lesnar. But
Fair.
There is an almighty.
And I am still a Stan account for him. And think about what Gunther has done with the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
I mean, think of all the championships.
Think about what did we see on Monday Night Raw? We got to see Bronson Reed and Gunther.
Yeah. Beat the shit out of each other. Big, meaty men slapping the shit out of each other.
You love that.
Sign me up. And to think about this, too. Think about the women's tag team championships. Think about how they've been booked. Chelsea Green has taken chicken shit and turned it into gold. She's going to get a lot of love for my female wrestler of the year, by the way.
Okay.
But
Mrs. Zack Ryder.
Woo, woo, woo. You know it. But I think that Triple H has done an incredible job with all the championships in WWE. I mean, this whole Roman thing, Roman should drop the title
I
at
mean,
WrestleMania.
outside the little bits with
Yeah, agreed.
tag team title, and but hey, not everybody hits a grand slam every time they step up to the plate.
No, but they don't strike out either.
Right.
I don't know if that didn't make sense or whatever. But I think that it's just I did not like it. I didn't like the Spooky Pals winning the tag team titles again. I know they want to give them all the belts and shit like that. And somebody made a comment. I think was it. I think Saudi Arabia looks like it's kind of got the poster that looks like Infinity Wars. And I was like,
check that out.
I'm like, if that's the case, there's something missing because the Spooky Pals have the North American, the Women's World Championship, and the tag team titles. They got to get that last one on the glove so they can snap their fingers.
That's right. That JD McDonough needs to become
Intercontinental Champion.
Something.
They're going to bring champion. Back. They're going to bring back the 24/7 title for him.
Right.
The 24/7, 7-Eleven, I-95, European, U.S. championship with the greatest champion of all time, a man who absolutely obliterates the Cocoa Beware line, and that is R-Truth.
Yes. All right. So another thing mentioned for Crown Jewel is we are getting a fatal five-way for Rhea Ripley's Women's Championship. We get Rhea Ripley going against Zoe Stark versus your favorite Nia Jax versus Shayna Baszler versus Back Pose. Tim's favorite.
Rack back. She's the rack back. Hi everyone, I'm rack back. I can't do it with my back turned. Thing. Of course, I can't do the back pose like she can or Patrick Starr can. God, Jesus, that's what they got for Rhea Ripley. I mean, nothing against Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler's a bad woman. And she is a legitimate of all of them. She's the most legitimate of the bunch. But Nia Jax, you're gonna subject. They're really trying everything they can to sabotage ever going back to Saudi Arabia, right? That's why they're giving them Nia Jax.
Yes.
Who looks like a refrigerator covered in pleather. Oh no, she looks like a refrigerator wrapped in pleather. Not my words. I'm just reiterating what somebody else said.
All right.
Should be WWE Hall of Famer James E. Cornette.
Right. So another possible return we have is it's been rumored Bianca Belair will be returning tonight to SmackDown.
Well,
she's been away for a couple of months. I wonder what they're going to do to kind of tweak with her character.
She's joining
I wouldn't
her
mind
profits.
see her going heel again, but
I wouldn't mind seeing her with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. If I'm being honest, either her or Jade Cargill, one of those two would be a lot of fun to watch with them. And I think Bianca would be a very interesting choice. Although it would really, I know that she's done great things and she's a very, very solid choice for a role model for young girls out there getting into the wrestling business. If she does come out, before the end of the show, I'm sure I'm going to hear it from the other room anyway.
Right.
But I wouldn't mind seeing her turn heel again and actually getting a WWE main roster heel run from her.
Sure.
She's very talented. I'm a fan of hers too. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't.
Yeah.
She's tremendous. She's a great role model. Hell of an athlete. I enjoy her work. She's one of my personal favorites.
Mm. All right.
Yeah?
So, a person that we have talked about an awful lot,
That's an
and we keep
understatement.
on getting updates about, but it finally feels like Randy Orton. It sounds like there's an actual timeline now, and it sounds like we will be getting him by the time Survivor Series happens. I mean, I want to see the Viper. I want to see the Viper as a happy, healthy, whole human being before taking on the rigors of the ring. I'm going to guess he's going to come back and be on kind of like a Roman Reigns schedule.
I'm okay with that. Like I said with Brock Lesnar years ago, any Randy Orton's better than no Randy Orton. Even if he shows up for like 40 Raws or SmackDowns a year, I'm fine with that. He shows up with that and like maybe 10 out of 12 pay-per-views. You don't really need him for like No Mercy. You don't really need him for like Fastlane. He's got to be there for WrestleMania. It's Randy Orton. And I want him at Survivor Series and I want him at War Games, and I don't care how selfish I sound. I need Randy Orton to come out there during War Games, and I need him to RKO every single person in that damn ring.
Including Cody Rhodes.
His teammate, including his teammates. Everybody. I want 9 RKOs. 10. Give me the referee, too.
They called me a freak.
They bullied me unmercifully. Oh, Lars Sullivan. I would say I missed you, but still think that was one of the best booked people in NXT when he was down there, when he was in those tag teams, because he would go in there and maul the tag team, and then his partner would come in, lose the match, and then he'd beat the shit out of his partner afterward. I loved that. Loved it.
Yes. So good.
So good. So good.
So the Vince McMahon Netflix documentary that looked like it was going to be dead as dishwater has come back to life, and Bill Simmons is saying it might be the best thing he's ever put together. Vince will be able to see it before it goes to the air, but he will not have any say on any cuts that happen to it. What are your thoughts on the fact that the Vince McMahon documentary is coming to Netflix?
I mean, first of all, you went total Spooky Pals on us with the purple lighting.
I had a 4-legged beast decide to walk and knock the cord out of the wall for my light. And you know what? I think I'm going to go Spooky Pals. Quite honestly, I think I probably need a pitch black Mountain Dew right now.
Jay, I'll tell you this much. If The Undertaker sneaks up behind you, I will let you know. Probably because I'm it'll be said. It just might not be coherent when I say it. I'm excited for it. Right. You know me. I love documentaries. I love stuff like this. Vince McMahon is such a crazy topic to do it on. Like we were talking about last week with the Iron Claw movie, and I know that they were upset about the fact that they didn't get Kevin Von Erich in there, and the Sons were upset about that. I want to see that. Right. I don't care. I'm more offended at the fact that Zac Efron's going to be in it than I am about them not asking Kevin Von Erich to be in, to actually have helped, factualize the movie. But it's a documentary. Right. It's wrestling. I'm a huge fan of wrestling history and documentaries. I'm on board with this, and they couldn't have picked a better person because God only knows that we're going to have to wait at least another 2, 3, 20 years for a Vince McMahon Dark Side of the Ring.
Well, I mean, we got a Vince McMahon Dark Side of the Ring almost every week, to be fair.
To be fair. I'm glad we're getting this. And I would love to be a fly on the wall when he screens that show.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it too. When
Yes.
they did I think WWE did like a version of a Vince documentary, and Vince has occasionally done interviews over the years, and I think there are certain parts that I mean Vince has told people about a lot of things over the years, but there are a lot of things that went on behind the scenes that have not been exposed to light. I think Bill Simmons will show those things.
Bill Simmons was tremendous in Four Nights in Boston on the ESPN 30 for 30s, by the way.
And the Andre the Giant biography.
Yes, he did. Very good job on that. I love Bill Simmons. Even if he is a whiny Patriots fan. Who said that? Who would say such a thing?
A whiny Giants fan.
Yeah, well, yeah. I whine a lot this year because they suck.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time before they call me to play right guard for them.
Yeah.
Straight off the couch.
I would say that is true.
Jay, we've been talking a lot about WWE Hall of Famers. So I figure that this one is another WWE Hall of Famer that we have to mention. And that was this past Wednesday, Sting, who's also an F and Marks Hall of Famer. This is Sting!
Sting! Boom! 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 Yeah.
My favorite WCW wrestler of all time, and it's not even close. Sting announced that the Revolution pay-per-view in 2024, which will be next year's Revolution, will be his last match of his wrestling career. What are your thoughts, and who comes to mind for you as a potential final opponent for the Icon?
I know that he said when he came back that he didn't feel like he could do a singles match. I think the best possible match for him, if he wants to make this Darby Allin thing happen, I think would be to have a singles match. They could do it differently. They could have it be a tag team match with Darby. But if they do that, if you're trying to utilize Sting for his last match to make the biggest impact, pardon the expression, Darby would have to turn heel and beat the crap out of Sting. So I think it either needs to be a match where Darby and Sting face each other, or they're tag team partners and Darby turns on Sting in the end to again try to utilize the fact that this is the last hurrah, and you do the most dastardly thing that you can
without tying somebody to the train tracks.
Darby Allin as something.
Right. Muda. That's who I want to see Sting wrestle in his last match, is Muda. The last person I want to see Sting wrestle in his last match is Ric Flair. How is
I would say the Mark Calloway. He could go against Mark Calloway.
Yeah, all the AEW fans are like, yeah, it's gonna be Sting and the Undertaker. Yeah. I can see the Undertaker, the ultimate lifer in WWE, jumping ship to AEW.
He has a contract until he's 70.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere. He's not wrestling Sting. That ship has sailed many, many moons ago. And think about this.
Thanks, Vince.
Think about this. Ric Flair is the member of Evolution who has had a match more recently than the other three members have.
That's sad.
Well, I mean, Randy Orton's going to obviously...
He fell asleep twice during that match, to be fair.
But
it was honestly, so bad.
Obviously, Randy Orton's going to, demolish that, just like he's going to demolish the World Heavyweight title record.
Yeah.
I think he's going to pass it. I don't know why. Call me crazy. Call me brainless if you have to. But I think Randy Orton's going to surpass Ric Flair for the most title reigns. That's not Charlotte Flair.
All right, Chris Brown saying that there's a Carlito sighting. One thing I do want to talk about briefly Carlito's new theme song. At the
I
current
hate it.
moment, I am not a fan.
I'm not going to undersell it like you. I fucking hate it. It's
I don't
corny.
think Carlito likes it either.
He doesn't. Ugh. His entrance was so. I spit in the face of people who are not cool. Carlito, Carlito. It was such a great song.
Right.
Caribbean Cool, man. That was such a banger. Not
So,
his new song is not cool.
and in the music realm, another sad kick. While the man's down, Elias has had his music removed from Spotify.
Jay, I know that we joked for a long time about how we thought Ricochet peed in Vince McMahon's cereal. Elias must have taken a dump on Triple H's front steps.
Yeah, maybe. Or
And
maybe he did like Delonte West, with LeBron's mom, except for like with Stephanie. I don't know. I know that went to a dark and weird place.
That's my brain or whatever's left of it.
Nah.
Dark and weird place.
Mm.
At least that's what the brain doctor told me.
Yeah.
The brain doctor, neurologist, brainless one. Neurologist is the word you're looking for. You got to try a little bit harder with that Bristol Eastern education, right?
Right.
Here's the real test, brainless
right.
one. Spell neurologist. No.
All right. Brainless one. What else you got? What is your top 10 today? What do you got?
Well, I actually had a really good segue earlier, and I, as usual, no surprise for me, I dropped the ball, like I play for the New York Giants. But it got me thinking because last week they totally dropped the ball with who they should have brought to SmackDown. They picked Kevin Owens. Why? I don't know. Probably because of the fact that it's going to prolong this bloodline storyline just a little bit longer. Because let's not oversaturate the same story and beat that dead horse to death. And believe me, nobody knows more about dead horses than the brainless one. But it got me thinking. There could have been so many different people they could have picked that would have been so much better than Kevin Owens. Although I know that the catering department on Monday Night Raw is going to be very happy because they don't have to overstock with cupcakes. But I did get me thinking of who the top 10 wrestlers that would have been a better choice in the trade for Jey Uso than Kevin Owens.
Okay.
Number 10, Kazarni. Number 9, Nails.
Right.
Number 8, a man who wrestled at the first live wrestling show I ever went to, the Warlord, who was once upon a time tag team partners with the Barbarian, known as Power. No, they weren't Power Glory. They were
Powers of Pain.
Powers of Pain. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Number 7, the Berserker.
Husk. Husk.
Husk.
Husk.
Number 6, I pulled this one out of my ass, Ludwig Borga.
Nice.
Brainless when he's dead, well, then I'll cross him off. Still would take Ludwig Borga over Kevin Owens on SmackDown.
All right. I mean, there's a couple of names I'm hoping to hear, but
Number
continue
5.
on, Brainless.
Number 5. His fellow countryman. Care to take a guess?
I'm trying to think of who else is from from over
Canada?
there. Ludwig
Up,
Borga, I thought was Sweden.
he is. But this individual who's number 5 is from Canada. He's
Okay.
also should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. He's also well above the Coco Beware line. And I'll tell you what, he's one of my personal favorites, and I definitely would have taken him over Kevin Owens in the trade for Jey Uso on SmackDown. Number 5, da-na-na, da-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na. He's the Mountie.
All right.
You can try to run, but you can never hide because the Mountie always gets his man. I love Jacques Rougeau. I'm sorry. He's got a very special place in the Brainless One's heart.
Okay.
Number 4. Another guy who should be in the WWE Hall of Fame, Doink the Clown.
Mm.
All right, so let's get a little bit more current wrestlers, I suppose. I mean, other than Kazarni with his 2 matches in WWE. Number 3, the only wrestler to get Gronk spiked in the middle of a wrestling match, James Ellsworth.
Duh.
Number 2, I had to put it just because it's Kevin Owens. Number 2, another fellow countryman of his, Sami Zayn.
All right.
I so much would have rather seen Sami Zayn back on SmackDown just because he at one point was my favorite part about SmackDown. And I adore Sami Zayn, so I had to put him on this list. So this is so far out there that I could go any way, shape, or form with my number 1 person. Would you care to take a guess of who you think the numero uno person that I would take in the trade for Jey Uso to SmackDown over Kevin Owens?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna come way out of left field here. Kahlua.
How about a little bit more current than Kahlua?
Glacier.
A little bit more current. WWE. Not at Clash 13.
Damn.
Come on, Jay. Think about it. That is an impressive list of 9 names I've given, including pulling Ludwig Borga out of my screen.
WWE, right? You're not saying whether it's WWE, NXT, NXT UK, like it's WWE, right?
At some point, this person wrestled in WWE.
Because I really want to say Cassius Ohno here.
No. Wrong.
Wait. Did I use the wrong moniker? Mauler of Meatloaf.
No. Wrong. No, Cousin Jay. If I could have traded Jey Uso to Monday Night Raw and brought any wrestler to SmackDown over Kevin Owens, it would be none other than FM Mark's Hall of Famer, Kurt. He is the number 1 person in my
fantastic.
List. It has to. Think about this, Jay. This is spoiler alert. Going forward, if I come up with a top 10 list of people, you can bet your ass there is a very good chance that Curtis Axel is going to be on that list. Because for whatever reason, I have an unhealthy obsession with Curtis Axel.
Yeah?
Yeah? The OG FM Mark's Hall of Famer, Curtis Axel.
Chris Brown was hoping you would go with the Boogeyman. I am the Boogeyman, and I'm coming to get you.
Yeah, just ask Booker T and Sharmell about that. Both WWE Hall of Famers.
Yeah?
Like I said, I had a hard time coming up with a list, so I had to come up with that, and then I pulled Ludwig Borga out of my spleen. So I was very proud of that one.
Yep.
Yeah, he had the personality of a cardboard box too.
Right.
He looked like the part, and then they gave him Nikolai Volkov's old entrance song, and then it wasn't the same after that.
Very sad.
Good. But yeah, that's all that I got for my notes. Did you have
All right.
anything else there, Cousin Jay?
I think I've just got good, bad, and brainless.
Oh, that's amazing. That's exactly what I got left. Is my good,
Yeah.
the bad, and the brainless. All right, Cousin Jay, what do you have for your good?
You know,
Jesus
it's
Christ.
something that we did not mention during the show, but I want to point out Kofi Kingston ended up collecting a whole bunch of money and opened up a library and digital center in his homeland of Ghana. You don't have to do things like that. And he did, trying to make life better for the people in his home country. So good on Kofi Kingston after having, a really good match last week against Ivar and what was it, Viking rules?
Yes.
I believe part of Viking rules is actually mauling meatloaf.
Amongst other meats that they maul.
Yes, but that's one of them. That's
Yes.
one of several plates, and I think Otis would be great in that match as well.
Yeah, as
All
well as
that being
Braun
said,
Strowman.
kudos to Kofi Kingston for doing great work as an ambassador, as a just good human being when all this garbage is going on in the world.
I agree. I love Kofi Kingston. I can't say enough good things about him. I hated the way his WWE title reign ended. That one, of all the decisions that they've made over the last 15, 20, whatever, even all of my years of being a fan, that one still leaves the worst taste in my mouth, was him losing the title the way he did to Brock Lesnar.
Hmm.
But good on him for what he did. Now, I was originally going to go with them announcing, Nick Aldis as the SmackDown general manager and keeping Adam Pearce as the Raw general manager. I love that, especially because it's going to give Nick Aldis a chance to get some exposure to the WWE fans. But after you sent me that video earlier this week of how Todd Pettengill got his job in WWE because he applauded Vince McMahon over a bowel movement, that just it got. And I always liked Todd Pettengill. And I was really upset that he didn't last longer than he should have. And what did they? They picked Michael Cole over him, right? Or did they pick Michael
Something
Cole
like
over
that.
Kevin Kelly? Kevin Kelly, or was
Something
it?
like
Or was it Doc Hendricks?
that. Jimi Hendrix.
Yes, Doc Hendricks, aka the captain of cocaine himself.
Yeah.
Michael S. Hayes. But yeah, I had to give it to Todd Pettengill for that. That was I laughed so hard when I heard that. When you sent me that, I laughed pretty hard.
This is such good shit.
It was such good shit. I gotta hire you now, pal.
Yeah.
What do you got for your bed?
I am completely distressed that they have removed Elias's music from Spotify. I understand they released him as a performer. Why are you taking it away from all of us out here in the stratosphere to be able to enjoy the GOAT's music?
I don't know if I still have that album on my phone. I should check. I don't think I do. I think I deleted it after a while. I think I deleted it at a protest for them turning him into Ezekiel. But yeah, that was pretty bad. For me, it's Kevin Owens to SmackDown. I don't need to go into any further. I think I got my point across earlier.
Okay.
But Kevin Owens to SmackDown gets my bad.
All right. Chris Brown saying his good this week, Bad Bunny hosting SNL. Tomorrow night being a playable character on 2K23. There you go. I didn't even realize I could do that.
Holy shit, that's awesome.
Yeah, sweet. And then his Brainless is Darby Allin with the bad shoulder.
Yes.
Very cool.
All right, Cousin Jay, what do you got for your bad? Or your bad. Jesus Christ. I almost gave myself my brainless for this week just for that. What do you got for your brain?
Carlito's new theme song. I spit into the face of theme songs that don't want to be cool.
It is the old day segment of entrance songs now.
Terrible.
Well, I would love to agree with you. I do agree with you, but I would love to agree with you fully, except that this is my chance. You know how I am. If I get the pig pile on somebody, I'm going to.
Yes.
So for back-to-back weeks, the man himself. I gotta figure out what the hell is. No, Tony Khan gets my brainless for this week. And with the best part about our good and bad and brainless, Cousin Jay, is that nobody is excluded. And whether you do something, whether it's in the wrestling ring or outside of the wrestling ring, you can win yourself the brainless or the good or the bad. Last Sunday, at the Jaguars-Colts game, they showed a picture inside the suite and Jacksonville Stadium where the game was supposed to be showed, and somebody didn't pay the bill. It says, to get this TV working, please dial this number for DirecTV. Come on, Shad. I know that you got a lot of shit going on. So just, it's easy for everybody and for me if you just blamed your son for the fact that there was no TVs on in the suites in Jacksonville. You are a poverty franchise just like the Tampa Bay Rays. Nobody gives a shit about you. You will never win a championship in your existence. So for me, the Jacksonville Jaguars and subsequently the Coke Man himself, Tony Khan. Candyman Khan! That's it! It was Candyman Khan! That's the name I gave him! I knew I was going to remember it! Oh! Candyman Khan gets my brainless once again. Hopefully he comes up with something else between now and next Friday so he gets it for a third week in a row.
I'm sure that he'll be fighting for the Shitbag of the Year award, although we got some people that really
Rich Knox.
Tough competition.
Rich Knox, the referee for AEW. He's secured it. Him and Pentagon, no, Phoenix share it this year from me. But
at this moment, Kurt Schilling is the leader in the clubhouse for me.
As much I just think that dropping a concussed man on his head twice is just maybe not shitbag of the year, but he's definitely getting my brainless moment of the year.
Maybe we should keep it to wrestling because there's been a lot of crazy crap going on in the world, and there are a lot of brainlesses that could be handed out in the past several weeks and months.
Yes, every person who's put a microphone in front of Joe Biden is definitely in that list. Exactly. Well, if you like what you see, whether you are a first-time watcher or a continuous fan, make sure you like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter X. Ugh, I'll never get used to saying that. Follow us on Instagram.
Xanta.
And subscribe to us on YouTube at the letter T, the letter H, the letter E, the letter F, the letter N, MARKS, F and Marks. If you like, follow, and subscribe to us, we will do the same back. That has always been our
mantra, and make sure you set up notifications so that when we go live on the Facebooks or on the YouTubes, you will be notified that we are live so you could join in with the conversation about the sport that we all love to hate. Also, hit the subscribe on Spotify so you can take the podcast on the road with you. I think that's it, though. We have touched on everything. Absolutely nothing left to talk about.
I'm going to make a crazy prediction when it comes time, if we are going to do the crown jewel predictions, I have a crazy prediction for that. Or I'll do the stupid human trick for that for something that could happen there. But I think you are right, Cousin Jay. I think that is everything that we have touched base on. And that was Curtis Axel. Boy, I'll tell you, you guys have said my name so much, I thought I was Beetlejuice. Is that why you showed up? Because we said your name 3 times? No, Brainless One. That is not the case why I'm here. Then why are you here, Curtis Axel? Well, Brainless One, did you know that today, October 20th of 2023, at an incredible 3,190 days, I, FMR Hall of Famer Curtis Axel, is still alive in the 2015 Royal Rumble.
Down, 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 down. Down, 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 down.
So, for episode 333 of everyone's favorite wrestling podcast, the FM Marks,
I'm Jay, and he is
the Brainless One. Make sure you mark out.
with your Glock out. See everyone.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially the guy who's